If you missed the first day of class, or if you lost this sheet and need to redo it, my name is Mr. Joy, and this is our video for Foundations of Math 2, Unit 1, Day 1. What we talked about on the first day is throughout this course, we're going to be working without a calculator. This is a no calculator course. We're going to do all our arithmetic and all our calculations by hand in this class. So this sheet that you have, and if you don't have it, there's a link attached to our Canvas page. This sheet will serve as your calculator for this course. This is your calculator for the rest of this class. Alright, so we're going to go through and fill it out, make sure we get it all filled out correctly since you weren't in class on the first day, and then you will have a copy of this to use throughout the course. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill out this big grid here. So this all represents multiplication. So you probably remember doing this in elementary school and middle school. These are called times tables. Right, and this will be your basic reference for any multiplication from 0 up to 10. So we'll start filling in. We'll do the easy ones first and work our way up. So 0 times anything we know is going to be 0. Alright, so if I go across this first row, 0 times 0 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 0 times anything is going to be 0. Alright, and that works the same way down the first column. 0 times anything is 0. Alright, so on these tables, anywhere a row and a column meet, that's the product of two numbers. That's the multiplication result from the two numbers. So now we're going to do the ones. Alright, multiply 1 by anything, we always get the other number. So 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3. And we keep following that same pattern all the way out. And same thing going down that column with the ones, we can do the same pattern. So 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. One thing, as you're doing these calculations by hand, as you're doing this arithmetic by hand, some of these patterns will become a lot more obvious to you. You'll see some patterns kind of develop over the course of this class from doing these calculations by hand. That's why we're doing everything by hand, so you can learn to kind of see patterns and find your own sort of shortcut ways of doing things. So next we're on to the 2's. Alright, so anything in this row is what we call an even number, right? So multiple of 2. So we go 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, then 2 2's is 4, 3 is 6, 8, 10. Keep following that same pattern. And again, coming down, the column's going to be the same pattern. So now we're on the 3, so we're jumping by 3. So 3 by 0 is 3, 1 3 is, sorry, 3 by 0 is 0, 1 3 is 3, 2 3's is 6, and we keep going up. 3 3's is 9, moving up by 3's here. 12, 15, just keep following that pattern all the way out. Same thing, jump down. Going down the column is going to follow the same pattern. Alright, now we're on to the 4's. Again, we look for the pen, everything's jumping up by 4, so we keep adding 4, move across the column. So we got 0, 4, 8, 12, 16 will be next, 20, 24, keep following the pattern. We get down to 40, and then take that same pattern straight down the column. Alright, now we're on to the 5's, same thing. See the pattern already started, so just keep the pattern going. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, keep going till we get up to 5 by 10 is 50, and then do that same pattern coming down the column. Alright, now we're on to the sixes, so we see again jumping up by 6, so we're going to keep that same pattern going. Down the row, and then again down the column. I can do the same thing with the sevens. Those of you that watch football, this will be a little easier for you, getting used to adding by 7. So we get up 7, 14, 21, 20, 35, 42. And we're going to keep working out this way, going up by 7 every time. So 49, 56, 63, and then up to 70. Alright, almost there now, just a few more squares to fill out. So now we're in the eighths column, everything going up by 8, so we come all the way out to 56. We're going to keep going up by 8. So 8 more than 56 would be 64. And again, keep the pattern going until we get to 80. Alright, now do the nines, everything's going up by 9. We have the pattern filled all the way out already, up to 72. And same thing, we're just going to keep adding 9 there. And then last one is this 10 by 10 square here. So we see our pattern for the 10s. Every time we multiply a number by 10, all we're doing is adding a 0 at the end of it. So 10 by 1 is 10, by 2 is 20, by 3 is 30. So same thing, 10 by 10, we can take our 10, add 0 to it. So we'll work with bigger numbers in this class, but every number you work with, you can break down to numbers that are on this times table. So you can always refer back to this, make sure you're doing your multiplication correctly. So in this class, positive numbers aren't going to be the only numbers we work with. We're going to work with some negative numbers too. So it's important that we follow these patterns for working with positive and negative numbers too. So if we're multiplying two positive numbers, just like in this table, our result is going to be positive. And the same if we multiply two negative numbers, the result will also be positive. That's what we call the negatives canceling out. Anytime we have opposite signs, that's positive times a negative or negative times a positive, we're going to have negative product. Alright, as you move on through Math 2 and Math 3, what you'll see the pattern develop here is anytime we have an even number of the same sign, we're going to have a positive result, and an odd number, we're going to have negative results. So we just have one negative, we're going to have a negative result. Two negatives, that's going to be a positive. Three negatives will go back to being negative. Four negatives will stay positive. Five negatives, negatives, and so on and so forth. So division, this is pretty easy, follows the same rules. Alright, positive divide by positive. It's going to stay positive. Negative divided by negative is also going to be positive. And again, we have one negative sign and a positive, whether that's on top or bottom, we're dividing, that's going to give a negative result. One thing important to remember with division is no matter what you do, you cannot divide by 0. That's the only number you can't divide by. You can divide by fractions, divide by whole numbers, positive and negative, but you cannot divide by 0. Alright, just two more pieces here on your calculator sheet, and then we're going to do a little bit of arithmetic practice just to kind of show you some of the things, some of the trickier parts of this basic arithmetic. Even though it's basic math, there are some little tricks to it. So last piece, we're going to give you this list of perfect squares from 0 going up to 20. So when we square a number, that means you multiply a number by itself, not multiply it by 2. That's a very common mistake. Alright, so if we look back up at our times tables, these would be all the numbers going diagonally on our times tables. Alright, so where we have a number multiplied by itself. And the term we have for these is called perfect squares. Alright, on your calculator sheet, you don't have to circle that because you'll have the perfect squares listed right down here. So give you this list of perfect squares, and we're also, after that, going to talk about the opposite, which is square roots. So first we're going to do the perfect squares. So 0 squared, that's 0 times 0 would be 0. 1 squared would be 1 times 1 is 1. 2 squared, 2 times itself, 4. 3 squared would be 3 times itself, 9. Right, and these are all on our calculator sheet. We can see that on our times table. So 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100. Alright, these over here you might have to work out by hand. 11 squared, we have 121, 144, 169, 196, 225, 256, 289, 324, 19 by 19 is 361, and then 20 squared would be 400. If there's any number on a test or on a quiz or anything that goes beyond 20 squared, I will give you a list of perfect squares beyond that. But you can always use this sheet for any quiz or test to have those numbers. So square root is the opposite of squaring. So we're taking a number that's been squared and we're finding what number multiplied by itself gives that result. So we'll just do the examples going up to 10, and you'll see the pattern. You can fill out the rest for yourself. So this is our symbol for square root. So we take the square root of 0, we're asking what number multiplied by itself makes 0. That would be 0. Same thing if we take square root 1, what number multiplied by itself makes 1, that would be 1. I would keep going up the list of our perfect squares. Square root 4, what number multiplied by itself makes 4, that would be 2. Right, you can see now the position is flipped, so our perfect squares are now inside our square root sign, and the result is on the other side. Alright, we're just going to follow this pattern all the way through. So the next perfect square would be 36, square root would be 6. Alright, so if you want to continue this pattern, you can keep going with all the numbers you have on the perfect squares list. I'll just give you an idea of what square roots is, so the forwards and backwards operations, so squaring and working back with square roots. So this sign right here, square root sign, is called a radical sign. The number inside that radical, we won't use this term a lot, but you'll see it thrown around in Math 2, is called the radicand. Alright, it's the number inside the root sign, the number we're taking the root of. Alright, and here we won't use this vocabulary a whole lot, but you will see it when you take Math 2 next semester. So this is it for your Foundations Math 2 calculator. So you'll have this sheet you can use again on any quiz and test, but you cannot use a calculator for this class. This sheet here will serve as your calculator, so make sure you have it filled in. Make sure you don't lose it. Bring it with you on to class every day, but especially on test and quiz days. So the next thing we're going to do is just go through some practice arithmetic. Skip some of these day one slides. So we're just going to go through some practice with this basic arithmetic. This is what we were practicing on day one if you weren't here. Is again just going through and seeing some of those patterns and those little tricks in basic arithmetic. So adding two numbers, we know how to do that, so we're not going to spend time on those examples. We get down here to number 4, we see something a little bit different. We see two signs here. We see we're adding a negative number. So if we're adding a negative number, that's the same as subtracting. So this problem would be the same as 25 minus 12. So we don't actually need those two signs, plus and minus. We would just say subtract. If we're adding a negative, we're same as subtracting. So where this gets a little tricky is if our first number is also negative, and that's one like number 7. So we have a negative 19, and we're adding to that negative 3. Alright, so again, for rewriting this, that would be the same as negative 19 minus 3. Alright, since we're already starting with a negative number and we're subtracting, we should be getting more negative. Alright, so we're at negative 19, we move back 3 more. Now we're going to be at a negative 22. Alright, then the last one we're going to go through is number 16. So again, if you don't have this sheet, it is linked on the Canvas page, so you can get it off of that class website. So here what's different is now we're not adding a negative, we're subtracting negative. So if we're subtracting a negative, that means we should be getting less negative. Right, in other words, we're going to be adding on this one. So this would be the same as negative 11 plus 12. Alright, which is going to make a positive 1. So why it's important to go through this is a lot of this basic patterns with these numbers, basic patterns with this arithmetic is used when we get into algebra and we actually start solving equations. So when we're solving equations, one of the things we're always trying to do is to cancel things out. We use that phrase a lot. Other teachers will probably use that phrase also, canceling out. Alright, so there's two things we usually mean when we say canceling out. What we really mean is we're going to add a number to make 0, or we're going to multiply a number to make 1. On this one we're going to focus on adding a number to make 0. Alright, so these numbers are called additive inverses. So they're two numbers that we add together and make 0. So for example, if I'm on number 19 here, what am I going to add to 10 to make 0? I would add a negative 10. Alright, so if I add 10 plus negative 10, that makes 0. Same thing if I look here, number 20, now I have a negative 4. What can I add to negative 4 to make 0? A positive 4. Right, because negative 4 plus 4 is going to make 0. And then the last one, a little trick question here, 26. What can I add to 0 to make 0? Well, the only number I could do that with would be 0. Alright, so this is it for day 1. If you weren't here in class, if you have any questions about this, you can come in and ask me at lunch. If you need any extra practice with this, again, this is linked on the Canvas page. any of these other problems, you should go through and finish these if you're going here in class to get that kind of practice with the arithmetic.